Hello and welcome back to Not So Shady Acres. We've got a new to us tractor here sitting in the garage. This little beauty is a Ferguson TO-35. I picked it up for what I think to be a very good deal, considering some of the things on here are like brand new. That engine was rebuilt according to the paperwork that I have professionally. So that's clearly good news. We've got brand new rubber on all four corners. Can't go wrong with that. That's a pretty expensive venture if you have to go and put some new rubber on a tractor like this. So I'll give you a little bit of a walk around. This is exactly how it was when I pulled it off the trailer just the other day. I had to head to work, so it sat in the shed or the garage for the last week or two. And today we're going to do a little walk around, an introduction, and maybe get this thing spinning over, hopefully running. So as you can see, we'll start on this corner. We've got no carburetor under there. No carb, no exhaust, which we do have over on the workbench. This beauty is a 6-speed, 3 high, 3 low, neutral and reverse, or 2-speed reverse. Got a dipstick for the transmission. Got left and right brakes. Got nice tight steering. No clunking going on there. We've got our position and draft control, which I don't know exactly how that works, but we'll learn. We've got apparently a brand new rim here. I assume that the other one was rotted out, wouldn't hold air, so they put a new rim on. We got the 3-point connection back here. Our PTO shaft, it spins. One thing with this tractor is that PTO has a ground speed feature, as well as an engine-driven speed, and then a neutral. Here we've got the original rim, I'm assuming, that they painted red. This is that lever for the PTO. One way is neutral, ground speed, and the other one is engine speed. We've got our transmission fill spout there. We've got our clutch. Seems to work good. One thing I learned about this tractor is some of them were equipped with a two-stage clutch. The first stage would disconnect the engine from moving forward, so it would release that clutch. The second stage would stop the PTO from spinning. That was a feature that they had created for when you're doing field work. I guess there's certain instances where it would be nice to have your PTO running while you're slowing down to maneuver or change gear. Got an old Delco Remy starter. Engine oil dipstick there. Looks to be like a new coil. An old distributor, but probably new points and condenser in there. And looks to be fairly new wires. And again, brand new rubber on the front corners. We'll take a look at some of the parts that I got with the tractor. As you can see, I've got a couple of carburetors here. These are, what darn make are they? Marvel Schebler carburetors. I assume parts for these are plenty. I've actually got another one of these over on the other workbench, so I got 3 original carbs, and then this one, it looks like this is the one they were going to use. Naturally, it's the one I would use too. It looks newer. We'll have to make sure that this is all tuned up. Got a choke lever here, throttle. We have the original oil bath air filter. We've got an exhaust muffler there. We've got some parts, a starter drive. This is like the Bendix gear that gets thrown out and engages with the flywheel. Got some nuts and bolts, spark plugs, air intake, headlight mounts here. Those are very expensive if you gotta find and buy some of those. We have a rear mount light, and they even had some sort of accessory that you could plug into there. That's kind of cool. Radiator fan. You got some gauges. I don't know if this is the original gauge or even if it's for this particular tractor, but if it is, we've got 4,010 hours before it was rebuilt. Some other gauges. What's this? Engine oil pressure. We got a throttle linkage right here. This here, you're supposed to have a copper. Supposed to have a cork gasket just to make it easy to slide back and forth. That's your friction material, and I think it needs some friction material. Looks like it's adjusted beyond its usable setting. We got some manuals here. Massey Harris Ferguson. I don't know how much of this is going to apply to my tractor, but it does say my model. I haven't really looked over those yet. I have another one here. This looks like to be a shop manual. Service manual. There we are. Bunch of lots of information here. Whoever was working on this, they weren't shy to spend some money and learn how to do it. In here, we have a hydraulic pump. Probably could use a little coating of oil just to keep it from accumulating any rust. I hope that's not a foresight that I'll have to be putting in a hydraulic pump, but if so, I've got one. Not a big deal. I wouldn't imagine those are too cheap to buy. Here we've got some old headlights. Don't know what they're off of because they're red. This tractor was not red. It would have been green and gray from all the research I have done. I'll put these on the front as headlights, and I'll use one of these, or maybe both of them, as rear work lights. I think that would look good. I'll have to repaint them all. What else we got? We got more parts over here. I'm assuming an extra spindle repair kit because the other ones would have been done. Lots of parts in here. We got boots, switches. What else we got? Oh, we got some tie rod ends. Inside, outside. Got some gaskets over here. Oh yeah, here's the proof it was green. I'll have to see if we can maybe paint this red, make it look a little bit better. Someone wanted to make this a Massey Ferguson 35. That looks like a steering shaft cover. Got an old regulator back there. You've got some data plates. What's this one say? TO-35 161401. From my understanding, this is a 1955 model, but someone else may be able to correct me. Not that this channel is too popular. And we have some fuel parts over here. Half of a sediment bowl. It's got a screen on it. That's nice. A couple fuel filters. And then some electricals. So I'm going to try and see if we can get this baby started. Well, maybe not started, but turning over on that starter. I don't know what the status is of that starter. So let me set this camera up and get you in there. So like I've said, I've already rotated this over with a wrench, made sure that the engine was free. So today we're going to grab the battery and connect some jumpers to it and see if we can get it to crank. Oh, heavens to Betsy. I'm going to move this battery over here. My jumper cables are 14 feet long. Negative, positive, wiggle, wiggle. So I got my negative and positive installed on the battery. I've got my positive to this, got my positive to the starter post. These are really, really messed up. And this is a negative ground, so we should hear some cranking. Make sure it's in neutral. Don't feel like getting ran over. Here we go. Well, that's pretty good news. I'm happy with that. Easy peasy. Kind of what I expected, but you never know. I didn't hear any weird clanks or clunks or any abnormal noises. All the cylinders seem to have the same tone coming out of the exhaust, which you may or may not have been able to hear. You get that even put, if that makes sense. So I suppose the next step would be to install one of those carburetors and see if we can get this thing rocking. All right, so I chose this, the newest looking one. If I'm not mistaken, this should be about 1.5 turns out from fully seated. So that's half, 1, half, 2. Okay, so 2 turns. Well, 1, half, 2. This one should also be about 1.5. I need to get my screwdriver here. We'll see what it's set at. Half, 1, 1.5. Half, 1.5. We'll give that a whirl. That seems to be about right. Oof. Open, close. Something like that, maybe. You got our gasket on there. There's nothing in here. Nope. Clean and clear and under control. what size these are. Half inch? Yeah. There we go. There. Now I got to figure my fuel line, what I'm going to do for that. All right, so off camera, I found a couple fittings that fit. Just going to have to figure out how to connect my fuel line to it exactly, but we'll figure that out. Won't be that hard. I got this little guy. Fits on there nicely. Yeah. Wrong size. Perfect. I'll go get my fuel pumper. Flow in that direction. Could probably use a little bit of a hose clamp there, but we'll just pretend that we didn't really need one of those. We will see if we get fuel though. Here she comes. There it is. I'm going to put a drip pan down there, make sure we're able to catch anything if it overflows. There's a float in there that should stop the flow once the bowl fills up, or it'll just overflow. We'll find out. I think that's it right there. So I'm going to go to the other side, crank it over, and see if we get any pops. Nope. Uh-oh. Looks like we're losing some oil pressure here. Have to close that off. Oil pressure, there we are, oil pressure line. At least on the bright side, we'll be able to check if we get any amount of oil pressure. Should have looked at that beforehand. Oops. Good thing I put that drip tray down. Boy, it's really raining outside. Maybe I should connect this governor here, just in case she does pop off. It doesn't go, shouldn't go straight to the moon. Go and crank it over and see if it pops off. Either we don't have spark or I'm doing something wrong. Let's go and see if we can see if we're getting spark. I've got one of these. It's supposed to let you know if you have some spark between the coil and the spark plug. So let's pop it on number 4 cylinder. That was a little loose. Shut this light off and see if we can see any illumination. Here we go. Nope. Oh, I know what's wrong. Had a brain fart. Those of you who know have realized what I've done wrong. I need some power. Oops. Need some power to my coil. There we go. Let's see now. Let's try that. Oh yeah. That's much better. We got spark there. May as well try all the other ones, or a couple of the other ones, since we're here. Make sure that's tight. Hopefully you guys can see. Let's try it again. Clear. Oh, she tried to pop off. Huh. All right, well, we got spark there. Let's continue on. She sounds gnarly. Pop, 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 pop. Make sure that's snug. Yes, good. And again. Well, that's exciting news. The few pops it has done, nothing is wrong. Doesn't sound wrong. These are the worst spark plug wires. Here we go. Yes. All right. I'll give that bulb another squeeze. We'll also see if we get oil pressure. I wonder if we put a little choke on there. try to thread this roughly where it should go, I think. Oop. All right. Give this primer bulb another. There we go. Full choke, and let's go. We'll get her. We're definitely having a fuel issue. My Jimmy rigged fueling dispenser. Hopefully you're able to see if we're getting oil pressure. I wonder if I'm forgetting something. Yeah, she wants to go. I wonder if I give it just a little bit of throttle here. Let's try that. I can smell the fuel. Looks like we're leaking some fuel. Wish there was a way for me to control that throttle. Let's try it like this, I guess. Oh yeah. Well, I was kind of hoping that that was going to run for us today. Well, I know it will run. It's just maybe this distributor's not in the proper time or something. But she's popping off a little bit. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get it quite running today. That's probably something to do with the throttle linkage that I don't have connected fully, and my amateur fuel supply. The next thing to do on the list is the wiring harness. Maybe perhaps with the wiring harness and the throttle connected, I'll be able to get this thing running tip-top. A couple of things I'm going to do before I connect the throttle is I want to rebuild this thing. Like I said, there's supposed to be a friction disc in here, and I believe it's all worn away and you're unable to adjust it correctly. Maybe grind this down, paint it up, you know, make it look new again. Newer. I don't know if you guys want to see that or not, but just a little bit of TLC trying to give this baby. So after thinking about it a little bit, I think I realized what I was doing wrong. So I wasn't completing my electric circuit when I was trying to start it. I was using my ground to trigger my starter, which is all fine and dandy. But when I disconnected the ground, the circuit wasn't being completed, and something was shutting down. So I'm going to move my battery a little closer so I can run a jumper cable, or a jumper, to a ground somewhere. I can leave that connected. At least that's what I think I was doing wrong. I need a positive from there to the coil. So when I disconnect that, it should still run. That should be all right. There we are. So I'll still use the ground to complete the circuit, and then when it starts, I'll pull off the positive from the starter, and hopefully she'll run for a few seconds, or maybe a minute. Here we go. Well, there we go. That's awesome. We got her to run for a few seconds, all on her own power. Well, lesson learned for next time. I need to complete my circuit. Something wasn't sounding right the last time, or earlier, when I was trying to start it up. You could tell as soon as I was disconnecting that ground cable, immediately everything would die. It wouldn't try to fire at all anymore. I thought maybe it was my throttle linkage, but after sitting down, having a step 2, I realized that my circuit wasn't being completed. So you got to witness this puppy running for the first time since 1997, or maybe a little earlier. The paperwork states that this engine was rebuilt in 1997. Also, this was purchased by the guy who I purchased it from. I don't know when he bought it, but it sat in the sea can for the entire time he owned it. And it was protected from the weather, which is why it still looks, pretty remarkable, all things considered. I assume that the guy who had it before him was the one who started the restoration and obviously kept it in a garage. There's not much corrosion. All the paint is in pretty good shape. So yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed that little video. I'm going to end this particular one here. Now that we kind of know that it runs, I can continue on doing some of the body work. I would really like to get the fuel tank installed. Let's get you down here. I kind of started doing some fandangling. I don't know how well it's going to be, but it should be pretty close. So I've got my sediment bowl here, all connected. I cleaned that up last week before I went to work, and then I screwed it in and I put a little fuel in here. A little premature, I guess, but that's what I did. So I'm probably going to need a different line. That filter should be relatively new. I'm probably going to need a different length of line, rather, to make it all work together. And then maybe I can get this thing to run a little more steady. Because right now I'm only running off of whatever's left in that carburetor bowl. But anyways, I think I dragged this video out long enough. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.